enjoying being with my external family. Family for me is big. I spend a lot of time with parents and my siblings. That's frankly what I really, really enjoy doing in my free time. But I'll talk about the rest later. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm the moderator. My name is Raymond Mutura. I work in Strathmore Business School in one of the centers that we research work, family businesses. And also in the business school, we run a program. I think the executive dean didn't talk about it earlier. The program for family development, where we have courses for couples, for parents, and for young people. I think probably that's where I would want to probably go with what you've just concluded, that when you're not training and you're not doing coaching, you're spending time with family. In the morning, the discussion has been around the role of the man, the role of the man, the role of the man. At some point, it got into almost probably beginning to define the new role of the man. Yeah. So there's always this: the role of the man is to be a provider. Mr. Idao, what does this mean? And you're our elder here today. You're going to break it down for us. What does it mean to be a provider?
I'd actually put that question back to you. Where is it written that I am the provider?
Well, in the morning we were told that it doesn't exist. This issue seems to have come with someone, and when we were chatting the other day, you challenged me that where is a book that says that? So maybe you can talk to that.
I can go back to the level of my grandparents, who were probably born in the early 1900s. And my parents were the early Christians. They were born in Makueni, and I think the AIC church was just beginning to reach out and engage with the population. And I think that's as far back as our known history for my family goes. And my grandmother was not a provider in the sense that is mentioned here, because she brought up, I think, 11 children, and you can appreciate the effort and the time. My mother was the firstborn, and this is where it begins to change, in that being the firstborn, my grandfather did not object to her taking up a leadership role, looking after and bringing up those children, and when she finished school, to pay the balance of fees, to run her father's shop, which he had in the near center, until she got married to my father. My father, similarly, found his wife already involved in business, involved in community service then, around the empowerment of women. But, as was traditional in those days, she became a housewife. She left all that behind and became a housewife, and gave birth and reared 6 children, 3 boys, 3 girls. My parents did not separate the roles between the boys and the girls. We were treated equally. More than that, when the process of bringing up children came to an end, and we were discussing this morning how soon it happens, children come and go, he allowed my mother to enter into business, and she had a very thriving grocery and wholesale shop in Nairobi South Sea, which was almost unheard of in the 60s and 70s, you know, South Sea Shopping Center. So she was there. And so I have grown up in a life where my sisters and my brothers were given equal opportunity. They were expected to work and excel in the careers that they were involved in. So for me, my encounter with my future wife, to find her in a position of working, I saw it as an opportunity to share a journey together. Life begins with me, I, and then us, me and my wife, and then our, that's me, my wife, and the children. And then the circle of connection gets wider. And so for us, we have always been busy. But it has also given me the opportunity, like was mentioned this morning, to attend the children's school events and days. I think now, if you went back to the book at Kianda School, my name is there, because I attended most of the school events, the catechism requirements and so on, which enabled me to have a connection. So there's been a benefit to that. Also, the world is a dynamic and evolving situation. To have a partner who's immersed in the same means that you have a close and trusted partner where you can be exchanging really the challenges and opportunities that are there. I feel that it has an influence on our two daughters who are doing very well. And so I would say that really the constructs and the frameworks that we have are really something to do with our minds and the way that we allow ourselves to live in the past, or live both in the past, present and future, or decide that we live in the present. Because even if my late father and my late grandfather were brought here and we're all standing, their worlds are different. And they can never become mine. And mine cannot become my daughter's. Yet we're still all here together in 2024. So I think we have to recognize the thing that cuts through all of us is a common purpose for something better now and the future for ourselves, and then the ever-widening circle until we say the community of the world. When we box our minds in, yet our minds can think of things light years away, that if we restrict it to just a simple narrative, is what perhaps can lead us to challenges, can lead us to strains that result in what we have today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Idao. So I gather from what you're saying is we have to have an open mind. It seems that looking at your background, it's a bit different. Yeah, but we'll pause it there and see what other views are coming. Polycarp, what this idea that a man is a provider, the woman is a nurturer. Do you want to talk to it? What are your thoughts?
Thank you very much for that question. I was born in 72 and raised by men of that generation. And as we were growing up, I would still remember when we came of age, I still remember I was told a man is three things: a provider, a protector, and a priest. I've never forgotten those three words: a provider, a protector, and a provider is the man pays the bills and make sure he leaves a will if he can in the journey. And it's a straightforward way. But also, it's not just paying the bills, but also providing an environment. And in the role of being protector, provider, and priest, then you get a helper. You get a real life partner who helps you in that journey. And also you're a protector in the sense that you really come to the defense, both of the family, both emotionally and physically, and in all ways. You really provide the security to the home. That's the role of a man. And lastly, priest is you bless. You bless. Culturally, we are like the Jews. I'm a Mogekoyo. But I say we follow that tradition we read in the Bible in that way. And for me, in the journey of growing up and being a man, I've always tried to keep to that. And I think provision is not just provision, because you can provide to an extent where you're known as a banker. You're an ATM. People just come to you when they are withdrawing or when they are depositing. Rarely when they are depositing, always when they are withdrawing. But you've got to be provision starts with presence, which I think Leo has spoken to. Provision starts with presence, and actually presence is the biggest provision, because it's not every man. I mean, God sometimes blesses you with a lot, not too much, but just being present, and for your children to actually know you're present, for your wife to know that you're actually present. That's the biggest form of provision. And I think in today's world, the biggest challenge for men is absence. They're totally, for me as a man, I always ask, are you? It's that notion of absence and presence is a big deal, especially in the family unity. And I've always, because, by the way, I forgot to say I'm also an alumni of Strathmore. But one of my role models of a man is Saint Joseph. For me, he's a role model of masculinity. From a perspective of faith and from a perspective of the 3 P's I've given you, if you look at Saint Joseph, he's quite the character. You tell me, I always joke with Kathy, you tell me if I came to Kathy and she told me that there's an angel who came yesterday and we are going to get a child, and I believe. I mean, you know, this immaculate conception. What a man of faith. And I was lucky I went to a high school where St. Joseph was also our captain, you know, in our national, in our school anthem we spoke as. So the values that, if you can read the Bible and you look at St. Joseph and what he brings, the ethic of work, the ethic of faith, and the ethic of being present, and how soft and how open and kind he was to his family. And I think that's how it would capture provision.
Okay. Let me counter it, because I think in the morning we've had discussions saying, look, these days you may have women who probably earn more than the man, or you may have a situation where the man actually has lost a job. With that kind of thought process, what would you say about this issue of provision?
I think life is difficult by default, and we ought not make it more difficult by design. For me, Kathy was always a CEO. I think we were CEO of AIG Insurance, as I was CEO in Shell, in Equity, in HACO. So she was a professional in her own right. And I promise you, the work she does in nourishing and nurturing, I can't do. That's her role, and she's also CEO of the household. You even heard her saying, "I take care of this guy." Literally, I keep on telling my children, if it wasn't for the strong help I've gotten, I would have died of a very bad bacteria a long time ago. So we should not fear that. I think that your wife is more. If you understand one another's role, and you understand it's the journey of life, there's where she takes leadership, there's where I take leadership, and we're just partners. Right? We've agreed to become passengers in the same vehicle in this journey of life. Then you're easy. And that world view, it's a view of the world that you have to develop over time and realize it. And that's why for me, she has done the best to support me to get to where I am, and I continue to do the best to support her to get where she is.
Okay, very well. I still want to press further because this is, I think, is one of the topic. And whenever we are doing our courses and we get into a conflict, we realize that the couples begin saying, look, we have role conflicts. We have the challenge of probably the man is not providing, the man is not available, or we have money, or we are debating on what to do. We are trying to balance work, family. We are trying to balance whether I should take the job or not. So and a lot of the conflict. In fact, I know families where the woman would say, look, my role is not to contribute anything financially, and it doesn't matter how much money I have. It is his responsibility. How would you answer this kind of people?
You know, you're a man, you provide. Your money is their money. Her money is her money. It's a reality. Money and wealth should never be a source of conflict.
Yeah.
Because I've seen instances where I didn't have money and she has money and she has always helped me out, and vice versa.
Okay.
And because I'm an economist, I tell people, be careful about money. Money is just, it's, what do you call it? Actually, it's, the real word for money is legal tender. That's the real word for money. What you should have between yourselves is value. And what a man should provide is not so much money. What you should be bringing to the table is value. Value is something very different from money. It's a concept. So, but of course, the value you bring, of course, by money, I mean, there are times she pays the bills, there are times I pay the bills, but you have to be comfortable in your own skin. I think, and the biggest thing a man deserves in life is respect.
Yeah.
But that respect is earned, not commanded. I mean, and it's earned over time. And there are things you have to do as a man without beating around the bush to earn that respect.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Polycarp. They say, Catherine, that men have largely remained traditional as women have become more and more modern. In the context of what we are discussing, what would you say?
Raymond, you know my opinion, but I think we were discussing this as we were having a preamble session with Raymond, and let me first chime into the previous discussion about provision. And I think provision discussion has become so much about money. I start wondering whether marriage has been commercialized, whether people go into marriage as a commercial sort of agreement. I hear there are prenuptials. I don't even know what they are. I just hear things like those. But marriage has nothing to do with money. If I remember when we got married, we had nothing. Both of us had nothing, and for every chair and every seat we bought, we got a loan. So you have children, you have money, you have whatever, and that's how we sort of, if you think how you have even accumulated the assets that you have, it is over time, and it is over, I don't have the money now, or, a crisis has happened, parents are getting sick, you had an emergency, you had not planned for it. So even the way you acquired it. So first of all, I think it always starts with, why did you even get into the union in the first place? And if that context changes in between, I think then it needs to be very clear. Then you say, okay, now let's change the agreement. See, it was an agreement in the first place. Then say, now, from now henceforth, there is your money, my money, whatever. I don't think there was ever your money, my money, concept in the way we entered our marriage. Yes, I take his credit card and I burn it at times. Yeah, but obviously with the understanding that we know our obligations, and we know what's ahead of us, and we know when we can eat bacon and when we cannot eat bacon, or when you can take milk and when you take black tea. You understand, and if that understanding is there, then whatever decisions you make, you know, as a man or as a woman, then it has the other person, you know, at heart. And I think also when people get married, we are told we become one, isn't it? So when it then becomes you versus, you know, whatever, and then it becomes a money or a transactional discussion, then I think that's where things start going absolutely haywire. That I can burn your money, but I'll keep mine and not contribute. Now, you asked me about, you know, the modern woman and whatever. Yes, we've become modern and we want to work. We want to feel that we've added value. Our fathers have invested in us, women, in education. And I even know where probably, say, the ladies probably did not get to the education level they wanted, but when they got married, their husbands actually paid for their education. And yes, it's modernity. But there's one thing I always say. There is the way a man was created, and there is the way a woman was created, and there are roles that men need to play, and there are roles that women need to play. So even when I was in my, you know, I would say the height of my, you know, private sector journey and leadership journey, you know, there is no way I can say, oh, I forgot to buy food. Or, you know, I don't know whether the children, you know, went to school or what, or the clothes have been washed or whatever it is. That's not a man's role. I don't expect the man to figure out whether it is Omo or Persil or I don't know which detergent or things like those. That is my role. And I think, because I coach a lot of executives, both men and women, and you can actually see some of the challenges at work are not emanating from work. It's not that you don't have a degree or you don't have the competence. It is the conflicting sort of lack of clarity of really what your role should be as a person, because you're first a person and then you are whatever you are at work. And I see that. So even when we become modern, that does not change the role of a woman. That does not change the role of a man. So there's no way I'm going to go and, you know, after work and sit on a high bar stool, you know, till 11 o'clock, because that's what men do. I cannot do that. You know, I still have to go and fulfill my role as a mother, as a nurturer, as whatever it is I'm called to do as a wife and as a mother. And I think that's probably where the conflict comes, or the lack of clarity that even if you go up the leadership career, that you're still, you know, you're still the woman who needs to fulfill that role, and you also must let the man fulfill the role of a man, whatever that agreement is.
Very well. I'm sure, of course, among other things, based on background, based on the fact that you're now having to balance between work and the home, you have to always be in sync in a thought process between yourself and Polycarp, I guess. Being in sync. Would you want to talk about being in sync? In probably agreeing on the roles, being in sync, probably in being very clear what needs to be done from both of you.
Yeah, and at times you think that, oh, you need to be in a boardroom so that then you write minutes and say you said this and you said that, you know, at home. But I think once you understand the values, your values of your family that you really want to espouse or you hold true, and you know, the boundaries that you have created for, you know, everybody, including the children. There are also boundaries for the children as well. Once you know you have that, then I think then you can have the freedom to make a decision. I don't need to keep, you know, consulting to say, oh, do I go here or whatever. That you can make a decision knowing that, you know, it's well understood within the boundaries that we have set as a family. He will make the decisions and decide, oh, he'll buy this, or he will make this decision for the family, because then he knows generally there are those boundaries that are, you know, acceptable within the environment that you've created. And that's what I call in sync. It's actually emotional intelligence, you know, within sort of the family. That's what I would call it.
You want to add on something, Polycarp?
I just want to build on the point and say, as a man, what my own experience as a man is the two most important decisions you make that make the biggest difference in your life is one, your career or your craft or what you do. As a man, there's something you must do from morning till evening that helps you provide and that helps you in your role as a man. So your career, the career you take, think through. The second decision is who you date or who you marry. It is such an important decision. You get it wrong there. Sorry, I can't say it in English. I've got to say it in my French, and then I think Father Brother will help me translate it. It's the wisdom from my grandfather. He told me, even before I married her, I think she's never heard me say that. Nemotino kanamonyaka. Your wife is either a blessing or a curse. And now this is a man speaking. And please, many men today are being killed by relationships. Actually, when you start now these small competitions about money and all these other things, it's because you have not chosen well. For me, I was very clear. I needed an educated, exposed worldview of a woman. Of course, she has to be beautiful. But okay, so once she has crossed that, once she has crossed the beauty challenge, then you say, does she think? Can she? Is it somebody who intellectually I can wrestle with? You know, there is somebody who you can't wrestle with intellectually. For me, that was my choice, and I think the failure to do that creates massive challenges for men. That's where you end up with men saying they have mental health challenges. It's not mental health, you're sitting with the wrong issue. Deal with it. You're a man. And there is a professor who's written a book which I recommend because it has helped me. I continue to read it today, but it's written for young people. He's saying your 20s is the defining decade for a man. It's actually the defining decade. In your 20s, you are who in your 50s and maybe 60s. It is what you did in your 20s that matter. And I say that in the context of being in the field of Strathmore University. So I just wanted to add there and say those two decisions are such foundational and fundamental in enhancing many other journeys of you as a man, the journey of a man in life. Thanks.
Okay, very well. Thank you very much for that contribution. I don't know whether, Leo, you want to say something before we go to the audience and see if we can exhaust this topic of roles, provision, etc., just to get questions from the audience. Leo.
This morning we had a discussion around equity and about diversity. The coming together of a man and a woman, I think, is the perfect example of diversity, equity. And those two together create innovation, survival, resilience to be able to tackle the challenges we have in the world. It has been perfectly assembled. But no rule book has been written. It's for really the two of them to do that, because it's essentially them against the world. The issue of provision, I assure you that most of the world has no money. And in the past, they had no money, and in the future, the issue of resources is available to very few people, and yet we live. So our life is not really around provider. It's around living together, about working and giving each other roles as you go along. I'm not the same person who married Patricia 30 years ago. Neither am I the same person. We have grown and evolved. In that time, roles have changed as different circumstances have faced us, and we have together decided which role will be played by the other. for the purpose of taking this team Ithao forward, the same way I believe my parents did and my grandparents. And so I think as we reflect in this, think about that our sisters, our mothers, were they in any way lesser than yourself? I doubt you would agree that they are or were. And so if we utilize that powerful resource of a man and a woman coming together to make change, positive change, I think it will enable the conversation to go forward better, to have more flexibility. Because I think the rigidity of trying to put people in specific roles and not allowing me to move creates that tension and stress.
Thank you very much. I think earlier when we were chatting with Dr. Angela, she mentioned that part of the challenge for a woman would be not to consider choosing a career because of potentially probably a cultural bias to thinking that a woman should not perform this role. The two of you have had the opportunity to allow your wives to pursue their careers. And you are from the same background. You probably have the same cultural biases of women cannot do certain things. How have you allowed this to happen? Or what is it that you switched off or switched on out of your cultural education to enable this? We'll start with you, Leo.
I think personally it's because I have never been socialized to think within very strict boundaries, that I was nurtured to think of possibilities well beyond where I was currently and not restrict myself in terms of norms that are around, to make my own decision about how I would like my life to go and how to set up my family and my own destiny. So for me, it came and comes quite easily.
Polycarp?
I think it's through nurture and exposure. I watched how my dad has treated my mother, and the love that the male role models in my life have had for women. Like, one of the strongest women in our family is our grandmother, my paternal grandma. She's still alive, she's almost 100. But what a provider, what a protector. But you see, the strongest men are the ones who yield to women, not the ones who compete with them. That's really what I have seen. Because even in economics, which is something I really love, and you've spoken to scarcity, the role of a man in life is to manage scarcity. We never have enough time, we never have enough money, we never have enough this, we lack a lot. But economics is the study of scarcity, yeah? And if you manage scarcity, you create value. And when you create value, then you're in the market for something. So for me, through that nurturing and observing that, wow, the ones who deeply respect their mothers, the ones who deeply respect their sisters, the ones who deeply respect their wives, you succeed that way. Again, in my mother tongue, we have a saying, but I'll say it in English now, that the strength of a man disappears in many places. English is so hopeless. I could not say that even in Swahili. It says the power and the energy and of a man gets lost in very many places. If you don't have somebody who can then conserve your wealth, you'll go out there, scatter your energy everywhere, but it will never. It's women in our community, actually. It is women who always are the treasurers, for lack of a better word. Let me just use the word treasurer. And I have found that once they treasure that, they really take care of it. In the most successful, as a man, I've also studied, I've traveled, I think I've traveled in very many places in the world. And I have seen where men liberate women and treat them with those societies are the best societies. You look at Scandinavia, look at the countries and look at communities that actually empower the woman. Even men live very happily. Actually, we have time to go to the pub and chat. So I know today is Men's Day, and it sounds like I'm celebrating women because my wife is next to me, but that's not the point. The reality is, even in economics, you measure the standards of a country based on, even in politics, your constituency, your county, your country is equal to the quality of life of women and children. Nobody cares about men. That's why you measure standards of an economic society through maternal health care, infant mortality. Those are statistics, are the most critical statistics in a society. So men, our work is to strive. We were just born to suffer. And if you are a man and you don't accept suffering, you don't embrace suffering as your portion, shauri yako.
Thank you very much. So I wanted to go back to go to the audience to see if we have any questions related to role, to provision, to suffering.
Could I chime in?
Yeah, okay.
Just
I'll prepare your questions.
To supporting. I think the other thing that at least I tell women is that when you're given that privilege as well, don't take advantage of it. It is very important, and that's why I talked about the emotional intelligence, to know when to speak, when to shut up, when to, you've got to figure it out, because even if you're given the privilege and, to rise up the leadership ladder by your husband, even by supporting your education and whatever, don't misuse or abuse. Let me actually use the word, don't abuse that privilege. And I think that's also what is bringing problems, that also women at times, abuse that privilege, and hence brings the problems that there are, and also brings insecurity now of men saying, we will not support.
Very well. Thank you very much, Catherine. We can give them a round of applause based on the conversation so far. So it's a conversation. We can probably pick 2-3 questions so that also we can have an interaction from the audience. On this side, I see Dr. Simon here wants to say something. Simon?
Yeah, sorry. Dr. Simon Kigondo is my name. I was to be in another panel, but a woman went into labor. So I got late. I'm a gynecologist. I think maybe going forward, discussions about interactions between men and women really need to be hormonal. You get? And with time, I have come to realize that when you do not address the basic differences in terms of hormonal estrogen, progesterone for women, and testosterone for men, then it becomes very difficult. You start sort of discussing the way she has said, when women you are given an opportunity, you are not supposed to, you get. But when the ladies are having periods, for instance, it's a different emotional intelligence. When you are having pain, when you are having estrogen-related things, it's maybe there needs to be, and maybe as a school you can take that up, a study, a way of relating hormones, estrogen, progesterone, to interactions, you see. And this, in the long time, in the older generations, was actually taken care of by, men going out, being taught many things, which includes hormones in the traditional Africans, and the women being. So interaction is very hormonal. So for instance, iko ile wakati utatukanwa, unashindwa, what is all that, you see? So that's estrogens, hormones, the hormone has gone up, and that's it. So as a man, what are you supposed to do? So the testosterone is supposed to keep quiet. You're supposed to take some alcohol, put in your mouth, don't swallow, Then the next day you'll be wondering whether there was, you know, because the interaction will be nice. So I think maybe for future, the hormonal thing, you know, needs to be looked at, because the way hormone, estrogen and progesterone behave is very different. And a lot of marriages, so to speak, would break up kwa sababu wanaume wanaanza kuwa ile inaitwa umama. It is true, by the way, you know, the way you are supposed to react is not like the way women are supposed to react, yeah? So that's just from a gynecological point of view.
Thank you very much for those remarks. Behind there is a question. Yeah. Go ahead. The one on the center.
Thank you very much, Raymond, and the whole panel. I'm very impressed the way you are sharing stuff there. In fact, I wish we had 3-4 hours just to listen to you people, because it's powerful sharing. I have 2 questions. One is for Mr. Leo. You said Leo? Yeah? Yeah, Leo, yes. Thank you very much. In Kenya, there is a saying that mwacha mila ni mtumwa. Please, you could react to this one and we see whether you can teach us something from there. Then, Madam, you have also spoken powerfully about the responsibilities, or our responsibilities, the male responsibility and the ladies or female responsibility. In other words, femininity and masculinity, you are respecting them very well. What I keep wondering is what women are doing, women of your caliber, to help these young women to understand this, because according to me, they have no idea what you're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you, Herbert. And then the last question on this side. Yes, go ahead.
One, to Polycarp. From morning session, my name is Benjamin Masila, and to just briefly maybe touch on the same. First of all, I'm incredibly thankful for the opportunity that we've had to interact with our fellow men. And straight to the question, from morning we've been learning about how the men, we are the vision bearers, and sort of what has come out of the narrative is that as man, or rather as men, we are the leaders of the family. Then when it comes to the corporate side of view, we are also talking now of empowering the women to become the leaders, the CEO, and all that. I'm just wondering, what is wrong with empowering women to also become the CEOs, the leaders in our families, in a way that Polycarp, you can deputize Kathy in the family setup?
Okay, interesting questions there. We had a question about the hormones, or a remark. I don't know whether you want to say something about it. Then also we have 2 questions there on from Herbert. One on Mwachamila ni mtumwa. I don't know whether you understood the question. Leo? Yeah, we'll see whether we can be able to take care of that question. And then his second question was the empowering. It looks like for Catherine it's fine. I'm empowered in the office, but I still play my role in the home. But according to Herbert, he thinks the young women don't seem to be getting that script. You can help us try to talk to them, and also just mention 1 or 2 things. And then Polycarp, we are challenged. So this same empowerment that is in the office, can it also be the empowerment at home? So, Leo, you want to go first? Or let's start with the lady, Catherine.
All right. I think I'll take just a comment from the doctor here. And it's true, yes, there are those cycles, certainly, and that is what I was calling emotional intelligence, that you must be in sync. I think we are talking in sync, knowing what is the person going through and what stage of life or the month, or even understand it's not even just hormonal, but also what's happening at work that is affecting this person, then you know this is not the time to tell them, you know, we have another crisis here, and yet they're handling another crisis. I think that's what I was calling emotional intelligence, to know that you know this person so well, you know when to speak, when to bring certain issues, you know, when to tell the children, actually, you know, your father needs, you know, time, so go to bed early or whatever it is. That's what I was calling emotional intelligence, and I think you're absolutely spot on. And it's not just about, I think also men have hormones. Yeah, you have your days, isn't it? And I think that's what I was calling emotional intelligence. Whether we are teaching women, I think there is a lot of teaching that is going on. Whether it is the right teaching or not, it's out there for you to judge. But I take it as feedback that probably there is more that needs to be done, that probably this empowerment can go overboard. A good thing could go overboard, not forgetting. It's just like they're tied to the strategy or tied to the vision. So it was a good thing, you know, to empower women because of where they were and everything. But we need to still remember the anchor. Why were we doing this in the first place? And remembering the role in society, remembering our values, remembering, you know, really where we want to go in the big picture for that matter. I'm a strategist, so I always say, what's the big picture? Why are we doing this? And I take that as feedback that we probably need to do now more as women, to actually say, wait a minute, have we lost direction? And do we need to anchor those? Because women meet a lot, and we talk a lot, and we teach a lot. But the thing is, have we moved away from the anchor? Have we moved away from the Northern Star? And we need to redefine that Northern Star again, because we can actually see the effects on the values in society, or the things that are happening in society. So I take that as feedback back to my other fellow women, and the ones who are here as well, like Angela, to mentor them differently.
I'd beg to differ with Doctor in that, yes, there are different chemical or biological makeup between men and women, but they are somehow perfectly balanced to work with the different makeups. It is our minds that decide to make it perhaps a bit more complicated than it should be. In that, for people to come together, there must be an adjustment on my side and on your side, so that we can work together as a team. And that conflict of being able to work together is what creates this strain, or others use it as a way of strengthening. So it depends on how you really use that difference. When a man and a woman come together, you really don't know who is the leader. And perhaps we'll never know. They decide who will come forward to declare himself or herself the leader. Because of social and cultural construct, if it has to be a man, the man will always come. But leadership is not necessarily placed on the one who is portrayed or gives or acts as spokesman or woman. So it's important to realize that the notion that man is a leader of a home in official circumstances, yes, but in the reality we really don't know. So we really shouldn't dwell. A home, in my view, should be a safe space for man, woman, and the family to live their lives, to share their aspirations and support each other to go forward against this very difficult world environment that goes on. Today I may be leading, but tomorrow, looking back at now my 63 years, really you can't predict tomorrow. really you cannot predict that you will be able to provide or not, or who will be the one who provide. It could be the man, woman, or the child. We see that change that happens in the course of life. I was speaking to the young man sitting there who was graduating, I think this year, and suggested to him, looking back, that there shouldn't be such a draw for money, because money in its reality is only required at certain stages in large amounts. Perhaps when you get married and you need to buy a house, car, something like that. When the children are perhaps going to university, when you become older, you really need a big, but in between, the normal life is really static and fairly straightforward. You live at the level that you're able to afford. So resources is not. But what is whether that family feels that this life or existence that they're living is taking them forward. Ultimately, we all want to go forward. We all want to advance. And how can we not do it better through that family unit, the family unit that is fully empowered, whoever within it is able to, at that particular moment, to come forward and make their contribution both to the family and to society.
What it means is, and I think it's what we were discussing with Catherine before, being in sync, being united, being together, being, of course, understanding, as Dr. Kigondu had tried to bring it, we are different, but we are complementary. Yeah. So the issue is to always ask ourselves, okay, so how are we united on our responsibilities? Yeah. Very well. Polycarp, do you want to say something about the empowering also to happen in the home?
Yes, thank you, Benjamin, I think it was, for your question. I think the role of a man has always, again, I go back to my framework of 3 Ps, but I say the role in that framework, one of the things a man does is take risks. And a man takes very serious risks. Even, in fact, women have no clue the kind of risks we take. Because if you tell them, they'll panic. Because they are more sufferers and nature, so we take risks. So, and we are built for different things. So there are things we are strong at, there's things that there. So I'm always not too concerned whether I'm the leader or the follower. I'm just concerned that my concern is more about the safety, the peace, the thriving, whether we are thriving and whether there's a future for us, whether we have a good present in the journey of life. Because if you get into this competition mode, which I see we getting into, if you looked at even some of the comments and the questions, as men, we are so competitive. We know how competitive we've been. You go out there, you're competing in business. You go out there, you're competing for jobs, other opportunities. Then you bring the same attitude to your house. You start now competing with your wife, or your wife starts competing with you. The wear and tear is too high. The wear and tear on an individual is too high. So I don't think about it as hierarchical, as me deputizing her or not deputizing. Right now, she's running a business where I'm her employee, to be honest. I mean, she's the CEO of that business. She pulls me as a resource, and I basically follow. When she runs a business fit to lead, so when she's doing her coaching, when she needs me, I go as an employee, and I also ask for a salary, of course. But culturally, to the question of Kosamila and Mtumwa, culturally, as a man, you are the leader. So behave as a leader. And a leader brings influence. A leader molds consensus. A leader does not reach consensus, but molds consensus. And a leader doesn't necessarily have the last word. A leader makes sure that the last word is a word that is consensual. It's really that soft influence. You're not a leader if you think you're the one who will always have the last word. Actually, you become a leader when people just generally allow you to have the last word. That's when you start to realize, Allah, they're waiting for me. So the license comes from the people, not from you. And that is something that we grow into and get to learn over time. But there's one thing unfortunately, I'm not a bearer of good news. So when I was invited here, Mutura, I must repeat this. As a man, you are born to suffer. You better have God on your side. And embrace it. It's not a bad thing when you're suffering. So create a network that helps you get through that journey as a man, rather than reject it or run away to addiction. Run away to addiction of alcohol and other things to try and overcome those things. But that's why I think even the doctor has said, men, we know all the statements we make ourselves. Wacha umama wewe. You are not a girl, you're not a boy. I remember in our family, although we have different roles, she's nourish and nurture, I'm the one who toilet trained all my children. I have 2 girls and 1 boy, because when I'm left with them, I tell them, you know what, your mother is not here, and I'm not your mother. Even me, I have a mother elsewhere. Yeah? And me, I will not wipe these things, these smelly things. I don't deal with those. So, and literally, if you ask my kids still today, they'll tell this guy is the worst man to be left with. So even when the mother is not in the house, I say, now, she's gone. What are we going to do? They say, no, we will feed you. My children themselves are the ones who feel pity for me. But it's in reality, they understand what our role is. I call myself a priest, but I believe that I bring blessings to my children. But really, the person who really I see is the priest of the family. Is God, reminding everybody it's time to go for mass. This is what you must do. Have you said your rosary? One day she asked me, have you said your novena? And I said, how long did you say the novena for? So there's different roles, but you have to have fun. But also don't take yourself too seriously. I think masculinity today, there's always this thing of thinking that there's a template. We take it too seriously. I mean, at the end of it all, who comes out of this thing alive? We all come out dead. It's a journey, it's not a destination. Okay? So it's really a journey, not a destination. And in this journey, there are 3 types of people, and you can play those roles at different times. A journey always has a passenger, baggage, yeah, and a driver. So sometimes leave the driver's seat, also become a passenger sometimes. And sometimes you can also choose to be baggage, but not too much. Wondering what happened. But men nowadays, we are taking things let me speak for myself. I also got to a point in my life where I was taking things too seriously. By the way, it's never that serious. At the end of the day, like Leo has told us, it's a journey. There's a time when you need to invest deeply. There's another time but it's like a competition. You want to own the whole world. Take it easy, eh? You will suffer still. The road has potholes. You will get sick. But at the end of the day, remember, we die. We die. In fact, sometimes you amass all that money, and by the time you have it, you can't even enjoy it. Because you move into your new home and then you're leaving. So I also bring a message of hope and say, don't take it too seriously. And the best way to conquer worry and stress in this journey of suffering is to pray. I have never seen a better way of keeping quiet and talking to your God alone. Talking to your God. I think it's the biggest medicine to mental health for men. I recommend it.
Of course, one of the alternative to prayer is the one you are saying we escape to other things. Do you want to talk to the escaping, to the beer, to escape it to other addiction? What should we do so that then we remain sober?
I think, by the way, I have nothing against alcohol. I did very well selling alcohol. And I believe there's time for male bonding. There's no issue. But alcohol should not become, it's you who drinks the beer, not the beer drinking you. Okay, let me put it that way. And you must also understand addiction. I think one of the challenges we have in society today is drugs, alcohol, sex. Let me add, what's the other thing? Gambling. Yeah? and gambling, and they're afflicting us as men because you're looking for something to escape to. So you must find us, as a man, I think we also have to find something that helps you escape to. There's an activity that makes you unwind. And for me, I find that prayer is unwinding. Sometimes when I'm jogging, I just talk to my God the way I would talk to my friend or the way I would talk to Kathy. Sometimes I argue with him. I tell him, sasa unipeleke mzuri, niko down sana hapa, namna gani? So it's you learn how to talk to your God the way David spoke to God. Until God declared he was a man after his own. He was a man after his own heart. Become a man after God. And if you don't believe in God, you are lost. This journey, there's somebody who created us, and I think he's the best companion of a man. So for me, escapism is that, but also be aware that you can also see yourself get into addiction. You get addicted into different into different things. Beware of addiction. Beware of addiction, but look for safe, healthy, constructive escapes. You could read a book, you could take a walk, you could sing in a choir. Yeah? You can go to the gym, you can listen to Rumba like I do, you know. And that's what a man. But don't take yourself so seriously. At the end of the day, you die, and you are forgotten, and you are replaced the following day.
Thank you. Leo, anything on escapism? Something to talk about on that?
Yes, I think as humans sometimes we strain ourselves because we prove ourselves to where we want to be, whilst we do very well here and now. I think accepting yourself and loving yourself as you are then, here and now, that's where we begin the journey. I've seen that most of the problems that one encounters can be overcome in time, not immediately, if you are persistent and work progressively. But moving yourself out and dreaming and hoping and seeing where you should be is what creates the stress and strain, which can only be again relieved by taking to all these vices. So loving yourself, caring for yourself, creating safe spaces for you, your friends, who you associate with, to keep your mind stable, to keep your mind actively thinking about positive possibilities, and then moving forward slowly, steadily, is what we really give people back their dignity, because I think we have big dignity, and then giving them the hope of good things to come.
Thank you very much. I think we've run out of time. I don't know how this happens. But I think we've had interesting ideas on this dual career concepts. Of course, there's also the cultural bias we may have based on understanding the roles that we play, that we may want to test, we may want to check. And then, of course, we've gone into the idea that it is very important, being a couple, that we are united, we are in sync, and then from there the decisions wouldn't be too bad to be able to decide which way you go based on the circumstances, based on the children, based on where life is taking you. So I think we can give them a clap while they think of a parting shot. Something you'd want to tell the men. What can they go with? Starting with Catherine.
I was hoping it was really over. I don't know what to say as a parting shot, but just to say it's really nice to really see men, just men in a room, discussing their own issues, because I have a soft spot for boys. Even my family really complains. I really have a soft spot for boys because I think they have so much to offer, but I think even when I see my teenage girls, they overpower the boys. Boys are actually being bullied, in school, and it's something that probably should be a topic that should not be stigmatized, or or boys should be boys and whatever. But they are truly being bullied. So I really have a soft spot for that. But also, really, I am who I am because of the men who have been in my life. One, my dad, encouraging me and really giving everything he had. He really could not. I even wonder how he even paid my school fees in USIU. And not just me, it's me, my sister, and my brother all at the same time. When I look at him, I frankly don't know how he did that, but he sold everything he had to ensure that I went to school. So for me, it's men are the ones who have propelled me. My dad, my father-in-law, really encouraging me, and my husband. Even all the AMP programs at Strathmore, and even the Sunny Bindra's courses that helped me propel myself to leadership. He paid for it. So I want to say thank you for that. So men have a big role to play, and I think you will enjoy. Once you empower the women, it's really, the joy and comfort really will be yours. So I'm really hoping that this can be taken to really another level to lift up the boy. So I'm in the boy empowerment side.
We changed it to man empowerment this morning.
Man empowerment. Man empowerment.
Thank you very much. Leo?
Guys, first and foremost, love yourself as you are. You're perfect, you're good to go. Believe that. Second, soften up a little and talk. Talk what you feel. Talk what you're afraid of. Talk about your anxieties. Don't be afraid. Share and help others. Because only together, by sharing experiences, by sharing opportunities, will we start having comfort in ourselves, will we start feeling them and start doing better things. It takes that effort.
Thank you very much. And finally, Polycarp?
One of my most favorite days in the church calendars is Epiphany Sunday. I really like Epiphany Sunday, and I wish for men to have an epiphany. Epiphany is the day the Gentiles discover God. It's when you see it's a massive discovery and reawakening. I think as men we should put ourselves in a situation where we have epiphanies, positive realization, looking at the same thing with very different pair of eyes, broadening and deepening our worldview, because it makes us better people. And that comes from not just interacting with people in your small circle, but also being uncomfortable, interacting widely, and being able. And my real parting shot is to say, let's, as men, we should never stand idly. We should always be active in service of others. That's what we should be. And being in service to others is, they say charity begins at home. Our wives, our children, our immediate family. If we do that, then we enjoy this journey, which is rough. But enjoy the roughness. That's what you were created for.
Thank you very much. Let's give him another round of applause. Thank you very much, and back to Cliff.
Wow, Raymond, what ably moderated. Thank you so much. And I really want to appreciate as well. Leo, I think we'll just go with that. I like that. It should be a bit easy as well. Thank you so much, my good friend as well, Polycarp Igathe, and it's an absolute pleasure as well to meet the First Lady today. So I'm happy that there is a perspective from both at corporate and at home. So I'm going to kindly ask you to please stand. It's now my absolute pleasure to invite Shiv. Shiv will award Polycarp. Okay. She will award Polycarp. There's a gift coming up. She'll be with you shortly. Please give a round of applause. Thank you so much, Poleka Pegathi. Thank you so much for your time. Honestly glad you could be here. Thank you. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, to award Madam Catherine Igathi. I'm looking out for Captain Mwangi's daughter, Emma. Is she here? Oh, she just stepped out. All right, great. We had such an intriguing session on the other side. So I'm going to nominate a lady to actually pass it on. Please, Dr. Angela Dogi, please come up. Yes, sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, to the elders in the house, I want to invite Captain Paul Mwangi to award Lenda Dibao to please come up. Thank you very much. And last but not least, I know I had Dennis in the house from EABL, but I'm going to call upon Ben Agina. Sorry, I'm calling you back up at stage. Ben Agina, to please come up, because Ben has been the most active social media influencer today. And I'm so happy that he's running the hashtag positive male role models. So if you're not following Ben, you're nowhere. And please make sure you can give us insights. If you're wondering where you can get your photos, they're at the back of your badge. Just scan that QR code. You'll get all the photos and the proceedings of the event. And I'll have them take a group picture. A group picture for everyone. Thank you so much. Asante sana. Friends uniting. Good. Awesome. Thank you. All right, a group picture. Thank you so much, Raymond. That was ably moderated. As I said, single men are who? Single men are who? Please look out for this gentleman called Raymond. Attend Maisha. You might find yourself a Catherine. So please, start early, okay? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. That marks the end of our final panel. Navigating careers, navigating the deep competitive landscape. The bit about finding your sport. We've agreed about golf. It's just challenging about, guys, how about we make this thing a weekend experience, man? What do you think? Let's make this a weekend experience, right? Okay, Dr. Angela's had that. Because I know some of us would have loved to be here. I know some of my friends, of course, at work, some are running their businesses, and it's not possible. So I think, please share your feedback. And at this point in time, I'm asking you to please scan the QR code at the back of your badges. Let's do that together, because I know once I release you from here, you'll forget. Scan the QR code at the back of your badges. Please give us your feedback. My take is, I'd love for this to be a weekend experience. So where we can have Shiv do a whole workout experience at 6 a.m. We wake up, we do some bit of meditation. Some people you see people are praying. I'm also asking myself, have I had a moment with God? Yeah. So I'd love to golf with some of you, perhaps, make it a whole Nyamachoma experience maybe. So give us your feedback. What do you think? How do we make sure we can have more engaging sessions? I'm taking a moment because I know you'll forget as soon as I give you what I have to give you before you leave. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to call Nancy Rango Kibunja, who's the head of Customers Program, to please come up. Oh, okay. I'll welcome her in style. I noticed she has my fans. She's recruited an entire table to welcome her in style. DJ, please get up music for Nancy to come up. You know why. There's been a lot of heavy lifting at the back, and she'll recognize the entire team from the Strathmore University Business School. So as you do that, please download your photos. You'll find photos on that link. Download your photos, share with the hashtag positive male role models, and just give what stood out for you. Okay? What stood out for me was the conversation of the father-daughter perspective with Captain Paul Mwangi and Emma, because as a father to her daughter, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. She watched her dad do all these things, and kids learn more by what? Watching or listening? Yeah, watching. So they could fly with the dad, and lo and behold, how many years later? 35 years later, she's flying a 737. 777, my goodness. Okay, here goes. Oh, and by the way, business journalists, the Boeing just opened their Africa headquarters in Ethiopia. So a lot of interesting stuff in the aerospace in Africa. Okay, are we done? Are we good? All the feedback in? Is there anyone who can check for me, Nancy? Who's tracking? Ken, where are you at? Can we track who's responding, and we give out some of the awards that we have left? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate it. It's indeed been an honor. I know we had to stop the live stream at some point, but I think this event has been covered. Go on the Strathmore University Business School page on YouTube. You will find tons and tons of information that you can actually go back and watch and rewatch. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll clap for her, we'll shout, we'll sing, we'll praise. No, before Nancy comes up, really quick, let me invite Ken. Sorry. Ken, please come up. Because I want that concentration right now, because most of you maybe don't know what we're planning next. Ken, take it away. We're calling this the Men's Conference Communique. The Men's Conference Communique. What we are getting out and what we can actually go back and say, this is what was deliberated on at Radisson.
Wow. Happy Men's Week. Hi. Thank you so much. I unsuccessfully negotiated with Laban for 10 minutes, but he gave me 3 minutes. Allow me to recognize the team for rapporteuring. I know there'll be a post-conference report detailing all that we've done today. After Dr. Ansel and team approves that, I know you'll share the entire report. So let me recognize Makanga. Please just wave. Makanga is here, or he stepped out. Judith Amolo. Thank you at the back there. So, just to say, my name is Ken Toroitich Kipyego, Strathmore Business School. I support SEDIC. SEDIC is Strathmore Enterprise Development and Innovation Center, a center that is mandated to support capacity building for entrepreneurs, nurturing entrepreneurial dreams, of course, business advisory consultancy, and also SME linkages across Africa. So for me, it's just to reiterate three things actually. What are the outcomes for, number one, on the welcome and opening remarks? What were the key takeaways? Breakout sessions, I know we are two different, so we'll just mention 2 points each. So I'm taking 3 minutes, so stay back, and I may not take a lot of time. So our theme remains the transformative power of male role models. And what was this theme anchored on this time around? So this year's conference theme, the transformative power of male role models, focused on how men can redefine their roles in fostering gender equality, promoting inclusivity, building healthier communities. So discussions were anchored on SDG 5 and SDG 17. So you'll get to check on those details ahead of you. So under our key areas, welcome and opening remarks, there were several points that the key speakers and keynote speakers gave us. So I'll just mention 2. So what are the key call to action on the opening remarks? So one is that challenge the harmful practices. Stand against early marriages, support the culture, and dismantle stereotypes. Number 2 that came out was promote holistic relationships and champion gender relations and mainstreaming. So advocacy was key in that discussion. And then when we went to, because of time, breakout session 1. So the theme was men's positive health, physical, mental, spiritual, and social life. So that was moderated by Shadrach Mwangangi. And of course, it had a benefit of having a priest in that discussion. So one of the key takeaways that was there was that holistic health awareness. There was a fitness coach, there were a multi-stakeholder panel. So holistic health awareness acknowledged that well-being extends beyond physical health to include mental and spiritual aspects. Small, disciplined actions lead to lasting results. Mental health strategies, please overcome stereotypes again by seeking counseling and mentorship, creating safe spaces for vulnerability and resilience. On the social connections, there was a big problem around, rather an outcome around social connections. What was around social connections? Because of the digitalization, the world is a digital village. So under digitalization, under social connections, it was emphasized that let's rebuild as men meaningful friendships to counter isolation caused by digitalization. And as I end, breakout session 2, the theme was men as allies, fathers, brothers, role models, coaches, and mentors. That's a heavy topic. So what are the key takeaways from that session? One is that reinforcing men's roles as allies, how can that be enhanced? So move beyond rule enforcement to actively uplift families and communities with fathers fostering confidence in their children. Develop mentorship frameworks as also a key outcome. Promote holistic mentorship that supports communal growth and personal exploration. The third point is creating peer support networks. I know, Laban, I'm ending it. Serious to make. This is a presentation that could take 20 minutes, but I'll try to save you time, having stood between cocktail and of course what is coming ahead. So creating peer review support networks was another outcome. So establish networks for men to share experiences and support each other. In conclusion, today's discussions reaffirm the transformative power of male role models. Together, we can drive meaningful change, fostering inclusive, equitable, and healthier societies. Thank you, Laban. As you said, our report is going to come once Dr. Angela approves. So it will be a 30-page document done in 3 minutes. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Storytich. Well done. Please give a round of applause. And Okanga as well. I'm told there's no relation to the third president, but of course, I would not mind you working for him or the family as well. Well done. Please give him a round of applause. I think that's really great, you know. I now want to sign out. I want you to give a high five to the person on your left and right. Tell them thank you for being here. Say thank you for being here. Positive male role models, ladies and gentlemen. We are landing the ship. We're landing the ship. I want to thank the quiz masters. I think I got a fantastic experience. Oh, who are the winners, by the way? Okay. All right, great. So at this point in time, I know we have a series of stuff. I want to call MC Brown. Okay, I want to call MC Brown. I'm putting MC Brown on standby. But before I put MC Brown on standby and before I put DJ Henry, please appreciate each and everyone working behind the scenes. I'm trying to give them a shout out. Everyone, like, we had a whole film crew as well. We had our technical team, the photographers. One resounding round of applause, please, to everyone who's made this happen. I know I'm stealing from Nancy's speech, but the DJ has a music to actually play because I'm handing over the program now to Nancy Ndirango Kibunjo, is the head of customers program, ladies and gentlemen, at the Strathmore University Business School, to begin my coffee until she gets on stage. DJ, what's her number? The cheers from your teammates as well. I can see that. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And honored to be here. Awesome. Well done for all the great work behind the scenes. Thank you so much. Yeah. Coming in style. Awesome. Thank you, Nancy, and thank you to the entire team. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much. Music is music to my soul. So I enjoy given a moment to dance. I will go direct to just give the closing and the vote of thanks. It has truly been an amazing, amazing day. Do you agree? Awesome. So good evening, gentlemen, and the few ladies in the room. We acknowledge you. It is an honor and a privilege to stand before you and conclude the formal part, not the full event, just the formal part of this inaugural International Men's Day Conference 2024. Woo! Thank you so much. It has been an amazing day. This event has been organized by the Strathmore University Business School and our partner, Kenya Healthcare Federation. On behalf of Strathmore, I would like first to appreciate yourselves. You are the true VIP of today. A round of applause to yourselves. I have to say, when planning this event, we were wondering, will men sit the whole day to listen to such conversations? But clearly, you even need more days. So next time I've heard we need a weekend. From Friday to Monday, we will look at that. A special recognition to Dr. Gakombe, who is the chairman of Kenya Healthcare Federation, Mr. Sam from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who gave the welcome remarks and gave such a wonderful introduction to our theme today, which is the transformative power of male role models. Our keynote speaker did such an amazing job, Mr. Imran. He spoke so well, and he reminded us that the true worth of a man is even with nothing, he still has authority. Were those not wonderful, powerful words? And something he mentioned is that he was having these conversations while at the laundry area with who? His wife. Clearly, powerful discussions can happen in the laundry room. I'd like to appreciate also our panel speakers and the moderators. You did such an amazing job. Thank you for being present. Thank you for stepping up. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for your openness. You truly prepared to speak today, and we could tell that you were ready for this day. So thank you for the amazing job done. A round of applause to the speakers as well. A special recognition to the principal investigator of this project, none other but Dr. Angela Dunge, for making this possible. Thank you for your leadership in this project. You truly are a trailblazer. To the Executive Dean of Strathmore University Business School, Dr. Caesar Mwangi, who did an amazing job giving the opening remarks. Thank you. He's truly the Chief Support Officer. Dr. George Jenga, who also did an amazing job in one of the panels. He is the founding dean of Strathmore Business School. He also did an amazing, amazing job. A special recognition to the team that worked tirelessly to make this day possible. To the Strathmore and KHF team. I know you're mostly seated at the back. If you could please stand so that we could recognize you. Kindly arise. Wow, amazing, amazing, amazing. I know the rest could be outside, but thank you so much. The ushers, the camera team, the communications team. Did you know that today, International Men's Day was trending on social media? If you checked on LinkedIn and Twitter, we were trending today. But because you were posting the photos you took in the morning, and also because of our communications team. We also had the media house present. So today, ensure you listen to news. I was waiting to be told which one, but ensure you just switch just to confirm. which one will highlight the Strathmore International Men's Day Conference. To the hotel, Radisson Blue, thank you so much for the hospitality. To our MC, Laban Cliff, thank you so much for bringing the energy in the room. The Quiz Masters team and the DJs, thank you so much. We are looking forward to the next phase, isn't it? Are we looking forward to some dancing, some networking, some you know what I'm talking about? Are we looking forward? Great. And then as we conclude, mine is to challenge us as men. Let us show up. Let us be present. Let us build support networks. Let us be the real role models and mentors. And let us take care of ourselves. Thank you so much, gentlemen, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Over to you, MC.
Thank you, Nancy. Please appreciate her as well. I thought I was done.